Hi, it's Andy XL back on another Sunday for another NFXL podcast. So it's another any given Sunday, and on this given Sunday, it's week 8. Um, so let's have a look at the early Sunday slot games to start with. The Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. These are two teams that suffered losses in week 7. The Dolphins' calamitous season just continues to spiral downwards rapidly, and Tua is becoming an absolute liability at quarterback. They are now 14th in the AFC standings and 3 games out of a wild card spot, so their season is all but over. The Falcons' loss to the 49ers season dropped to third in their division and puts them 11th in the NFC, just a game back in the wildcard race. If they are to make the postseason, they have to beat teams like the Dolphins. So, big news here is that Kirk Cousins is back at quarterback for this one, with Michael Penix missing the game with a knee injury. That's what it sounds like it's going to be at the situation anyway. Penix's play has been poor recently, so could Cousins prompt a quarterback controversy with a good game here? Or is he actually in the shop window for teams looking for a quarterback ahead of the trade deadline? Either way, it's a great opportunity for Cousins. Although Drake London being a doubt for this game it does not help his cause. He'd like to have London available to him for sure. The Falcons and Bijan Robinson are great for rush offense, and they've been decent as a pass offense too, even though Penix has struggled. But red zone efficiency has been an issue for them as they rank 12th for rushing touchdowns and are lowly 30th for receiving touchdowns. Defensively, they have been one of the best pass defenses in the league and have been decent against the run too, which is not good news for Tua and the Dolphins' offense. And it seems likely that the Falcons' pass rush will play havoc with Tua and lead to another possible multi-pick game from the embattled quarterback. They have been okay as a pass defense, but rank near bottom of the league against the run, and notably, given the Falcons' red zone issues, ranked 25th for rushing TDs allowed. So Kirk Cousins and the Falcons may actually be able to have some joy in the red zone. In short, it looks like Tua will get mashed, and Bijan Robinson could have a big game, even for him, as the Falcons get an easy win here. Fantasy wise, Bijan Robinson and the Falcons D might be the picks. Um, and I'm going to take the Falcons to walk this one 31-17. Right, the NFL Cup's out. There we go. The NFL Cup's out for Sunday. Had this one for years. If it ever breaks, I'll be heartbroken. Right, New York Jets at Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets are the only winless team in the NFL and benched quarterback Justin Fields in favour of 36-year-old Tyrod Taylor last week. But Taylor is now hurt, so it will be Fields who starts here again. Their season is over, and surely it's just about finding a win or two whilst evaluating what is good on their particular spaceship. Quoting from Apollo 13, the movie. The Bengals got a huge win over the Steelers that has got them right back into the AFC North title race and to ninth in the AFC standings. A game out of a wildcard spot. Like the Falcons, they now face the type of opponent they must beat if they are to make the postseason. Now, looking at statistical rankings for the Bengals offense this season is pretty much a waste of time as they are distorted by having Jake Browning a quarterback for half the season to date. If we look at the 3 games Browning did not play, they averaged 212 yards passing, 81 yards on the ground, and have scored 7 touchdowns, all via the pass in those games. So 7 touchdowns from 3 games is pretty good. Defensively, they continue to struggle though, ranking in the bottom quarter of the league for both pass and rush defense. For the Jets, their rush offense and pass defense have been decent, but their passing game with Justin Fields at quarterback has been awful, and run defense has been average. So questions here are, can Justin Fields get the Jets passing game going finally? Can the Jets keep the Bengals receivers out of the end zone? And the answer to both questions could come via the Jets injury report. Like I say, Sauce Gardner is out with concussion, and Garrett Wilson has a knee injury. Neither of these will play, so that makes the answer to both those questions no, and life will be easy for the Bengals this week, especially as it seems the Bengals star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson will play in this game. Fantasy wise, the Bengals have been the best team for opposing running backs to face, so there still might be some hope for Brees Hall, as he seems likely to play in this game. Same applies to tight ends. So Mason Taylor again might be a low end option to consider there. As the Jets are without Gardner, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and tight end Noah Fant are all good options, and that makes Joe Flacco a good option at quarterback too. This could be a high scoring affair as long as the Jets stay close enough to allow them to keep running the ball. But I'm going to take the Bengals to get a comfortable win here by 31-20. Right, more coffee. Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. Both teams come into the week off wins, but the Patriots return home after 3 consecutive road wins and sit top of the AFC East and lie second in the AFC standings. Browns got win number 2 of the season by beating the all-at-sea Dolphins, but still lie 12th in the AFC standings and 2.5 games back in the AFC North. They need to go at least 7-3 from here to make the postseason, and that looks beyond them. And certainly a loss here would make it mission impossible for them. All the movie reference this week. Excuse me, still fighting off that cough. It's still there, just about. Again, like the Falcons and Bengals, the Pats are another team that needs to win games like this against struggling opponents if they are, in their case, to win the AFC East. Stats-wise, run defenses have been their greatest strength, but their pass offense is top 10, and they're also decent for pass defense and run offense, making them a strong all-round team. It does not need stats to tell anybody that the Browns are just flat out bad on offense, but have a strong defense that can keep them in games as long as the offense does something to help them keep from getting exhausted late in games. Running the ball against the Browns is as tough as it will be for the Browns to run it on the Patriots. So Drake May and his receivers look like the route to success for the Patriots in this game. But do not expect them to have a great day, more of a good day that will be enough to get the Pats a win in a low scoring affair. As such, no real fantasy picks from me from this game. Possibly both kickers, although I wouldn't trust the Browns kicker too much. He's not the greatest so far this season. So I'm going to take the Patriots to win a low scorer by 23-16. Right, on to the rematch game of the week, if you like. New York Giants at Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles held off the Vikings in week 7 and with the Commanders' loss moved further ahead at the top of the NFC East. Although they still have plenty of room for improvement, quarterback Jalen Hurts is probably having his best season as an NFL quarterback so far, and the Eagles remain right on track for another postseason title bid. The Giants are improving, but lost a crazy one in Denver to fall to 2-5, 3 games back of the Eagles in the NFC East and to 15th in the conference standings. They need to repeat their win over the Eagles of week 6, or their chances of making the postseason will be very slim or non-existent. The Eagles have been consistent in their inconsistency this season, even during games. They go from being poor to good and back. So what will they do in what has to be a revenge game for them? For the Giants, all 4 of their touchdowns came on the ground in week 6 against the Eagles, 3 short yardage ones by Cam Skattebo and 1 from Daxon Dart. Surely the Eagles D-line, who were without Jalen Carter at his heart for that game, will not let that happen again here with him back to bolster them in that area. And the other relevant thing here is the Giants secondary are without safeties Javon Holland and Anthony Johnson, plus cornerback Paulson Adebo for this one, which will be good news for the Eagles passing game. And it is quarterbacks and wide receivers that have done well against the Giants. So Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith and possibly Jahan Dotson in the absence of A.J. Brown for the Eagles might be good fantasy picks. Whilst running backs have done well against the Eagles, so Cam Skattebo may be in for another good game here. But can he get in the end zone? Might be a key question. If yes, and multiple times, then the Giants could win again. But with Carter back, one might be the best he gets as the Eagles take their revenge and get the win here for me, 27-20. Buffalo Bills at Carolina Panthers. Now this is an interesting one. Considering the Bills returned from a bye week, having lost their last 2, and now trading the Patriots by half a game in the AFC East, whereas the upstart Panthers have 3 wins in a row to get right back into the NFC's South title race and the NFC wildcard race too. But this looks like a game the winner will come out of feeling like they're on course for the postseason, whereas the loser will look at the standings and see they have work to do in a wildcard race. And as such, this has huge significance for both teams. You know, if the Bills lost this, then their season that looks like a walk to the divisional title in the postseason suddenly has huge question marks over it. Well, not suddenly, but does have huge question marks over it. For the Panthers, the momentum they've built up and the good position they've got in would be dissipated by a loss here. So the whilst they'd still take it from where you know, they'd still be happily 4-4 after 8 games at the start of the season. They still would put their postseason participation in doubt. Um, Now, the Panthers have done what they've done in the softer part of the schedule. Can they reel in a bigger fish here? Whilst the Bills may have struggled at times this season, their rush offense is still the best in the league, helped by Allen at quarterback doing his bit on the ground, and their pass defense is one of the best around too. So with Andy Dalton coming in at quarterback for the Panthers this week, trying to win by the pass may not be a good idea for the Panthers. They would be far better off targeting a Bills run defense that is one of the worst in the league. And they have the run offense in the shape of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard to do just that. Their own defense has played well against both the run and the pass, but more so the run. So the Bills' ground game versus the Panthers' run defense will be a key to this game. Coffee. An area of concern for the Panthers, though, could be that they've been good for opposing tight ends to play against this season, such as Brenton Strange for the Jags has 59 yards in week one. Trey McBride and Elijah Higgins for the Cardinals combined for 123 yards in week two. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper combined for 63 yards and a touchdown for the Patriots in week four. Darren Waller and Julian Hill combined for 100 yards and a touchdown in week five. So pairs of tight ends have done really well against them. So if the Bills get Dalton Kincaid back for this one, he and Dawson Knox could be the latest tight end duo to have a nice game against the Panthers. If Kincaid is out, then Knox is a definite fantasy pick here. And coming back to Kincaid again, his availability and the Bills' ability to run the ball will determine who wins this game. The Panthers have only played two teams that have winning records, the Jags and the Patriots this season, and both of them were able to run the ball against the Panthers. So I would take the 4-2 Bills to be able to do the same and win this one. Josh Allen, Matt Prater, the kicker, and Rico Dowdle are the fantasy picks in a high-scoring Bills win, 30-27. I've got it. Right. Let's try and make sure we're not going to be coughing and sputtering for the next one. Chicago Bears at Baltimore Ravens. Right, here we go. And in a different way, here is a game just like the Bills Panthers games. The recent AFC powerhouse coming off a bye, having lost 4 in a row, meeting an improving NFC team that has won 4 in a row. The Ravens are surely in must-win territory in this one. They are bottom of the division at 13th in the AFC, with just one win to their name. They have to go at least 8-3 for the rest of the season to extend it beyond week 18. So beating the Bears must surely be essential if they are going to have a chance of doing so. For the Bears, they, like the Panthers, are on a roll and making a seemingly unlikely challenge for their divisional title, whilst being just outside of a wildcard spot. Unlike the Panthers, if they could beat a traditional championship contender in week 8, would bolster their confidence and postseason hopes considerably by doing so. A loss, however, would set them back in that pursuit a good deal. Now, the massive news here is Lamar Jackson will not be back for the Ravens. Without him, this is going to be tough for them. But even if Lamar had been back, a Ravens win was still not a given, as these Bears are good, particularly offensively. On defense, they tend to give up yards but not touchdowns. Pass defense wise, they are definitely ball hawkers, leading the leading picks but last for TDs conceded. Hence why Lamar at quarterback, who has thrown 5 picks in his last 21 games, rather than Cooper Rush, who has 4 in his last 2 games, makes an obvious massive difference here. You can see the Bears getting picks and from Cooper Rush that they wouldn't have got from Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens' issues are not all about Lamar. The injury depleted defense ranks near last in the league too. They were much healthier and much better prior to the bye week against the Rams, though. The Ravens without Lamar could struggle on offense. So bad news here for the Ravens. Really bad news is that I think the Bears win here. I, their defense might be the only fantasy pick though, and I'm going to take the Bears to win this by 24-20 and possibly hammer the final nail into the Ravens' seasonal hopes. Right, San Francisco 49ers at Houston Texans. The 49ers ground out an important win over the Falcons in week 7 to remain top of the NFC West and looking strong for the postseason as they start to get healthy on offense. The Texans are still looking at the Colts from a distance in the AFC South and are also playing catch up in the AFC wildcard race, so badly need a win here to avoid the gap potentially widening on both fronts. The 49ers are probably the best team in the league at finding ways to win games they probably should not. They've been stout defensively despite losing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and have been effective yardage wise offensively, but struggled to turn field goals into touchdowns. Kicker Eddie Pinheiro leads the league in field goals made. That may change as they get healthier on offense and George Kittle gets back up to full speed, but that may not be in this game against a good Texans defense. And they do have major issues on their O line health wise for this game, too. The Texans D ranks in the top 5 against the pass, which has been the 49ers' strength this season, despite the injuries, and top 10 against the run yardage wise, although it does allow rushing touchdowns, ranking 24th for that. Offensively, the Texans have been improving as their O-line improves, so that O-line versus the 49ers D-line will be one of the key battles here. But the Texans are going to have to lean on their younger receivers, though, with both Nico Collins and Christian Kirk out for this game. So really, this could be about which team deals with their injuries better. Fantasy-wise, both teams have been tough on opposing quarterbacks, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends, but are mid-ranked against running backs. So both defensive and special teams, Christian McCaffrey and Eddie Pinheiro might be the fantasy picks. As with most 49ers games this season, this could come down to one decisive thought. Can the Texans stop Christian McCaffrey? And in this case, that might be stopping him getting in the end zone. Notably, the Texans have allowed the least receiving yards and have not conceded a receiving touchdown to an opposing running back this season, but have conceded 7 touchdowns on the ground to them. So it might be that McCaffrey's getting in the end zone on the ground this time. My gut is telling me the 49ers win this game because they've got the track record of finding a way to win. The data suggests Christian McCaffrey may get a score, but may also struggle to go for yards. So it might be the reverse of what he's done most weeks this season, meaning the Texans may have been able to do enough if Collins or Kirk were playing offensively through the air to win this game. But that's not the case. So the 49ers win a low scoring game here. 19-17. Field goal kickers are going to have a big influence on that, and Eddie Pinheiro is going to be key in that one again. Right, so that's the early window done, and I'll conclude part 2 of my preview there. I'll come back and look at the late window and the Sunday night football and the Monday night game in part 3. So look out for that one in the next hour or two. See you soon.